For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber for instant analysis of USC's 8th practice of fall and their first full game-like scrimmage of the fall. Dan, what were your general takeaways before we get into it?
Well, I'm kind of, agreeing with Clay that, the defense came out and really got going. And I kind of kidded him. I said, they had 3 sacks right away. Jay Tavelli just running by people and grabbing. I said, well, you wanted to be like Ohio State. It kind of looked. And then, the quarterbacks, I thought, rallied pretty well. Obviously, the third quarterback, JT, Daniels, just was on fire. I mean, he 10 for 12, 4 touchdowns, and he was on fire along with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
And he made a couple of touchdown catches where he's just getting pounded around, and under all kinds of physical duress. They opened the game with a 55-yard play action from JT to Amon-Ra, who was getting hit as the ball came down, and just pretty amazing stuff. I mean, you might see a quarterback out of high school, you might see a wide receiver out of high school, but to see 2 guys looking the way they did today from the same high school, it's just it's like you don't quite want to believe it because, this is obviously they had a lot of good quarterbacks here. They've had a lot of good receivers. And it's like, can you possibly get somebody who looked as good as those 2 did today and the first time they've ever really played a full pads scrimmage in college? It's a question you have to ask, though. And I know, people think that's crazy.
Yeah.
But all you can do is say, this is what you're seeing, this is what's happening, and it's a pretty impressive, effort there by that duo.
Yeah, the connection between JT Daniels and Amon-Ra St. Brown is alive and well. It was reestablished today, and especially today in a game-like situation where JT Daniels really thrives. I don't think we've seen him thrive as well as he did today in previous practices. So much so that Clay Helton was asked, "Are you worried? We're all going to be writing about JT Daniels. Are you worried that you need to tamper down the hype around him?" What did Helton have to say to that?
He's not. He's not going to. I think he knows you can't. I mean, let's face it. It's really unusual to see the kind of maturity, the kind of physicality, the kind of comfort level, in the Coliseum. I mean, they played on what might have been. I mean, you could make a case that modern-day team last year could have been the best high school football team ever in history. I mean, they were that good, played that good a schedule, performed at that high level. But everybody will say, but you can't do that when you go to college, and not when you go to USC. And that may have been a better day than they had all last year when they had nothing but good days. So, I don't think you can avoid it. I mean, Clay is saying how much he's impressed with all 3 quarterbacks and how Jack Sears and Matt Fink have really competed and come along and improved so much since the spring, which is absolutely true.
Yeah.
They've done a wonderful job, and they've competed, extremely well, and, done everything you could possibly ask them to do. So I know he doesn't want to, people will ask him a question about JT, and he will say, all 3 of our quarterbacks are doing this, or all 3 of our quarterbacks, or whatever. He's also said he's not going to make the decision until that 4th week, that second game week, not mock game week, not end of camp. He's going to wait, and he said, I'm not going to wait till Saturday of game day, which is probably a good idea. But he keeps saying he's going to wait until that 4th week, which, I think there will be some second guessing there. If you're going to have a mock game week, maybe and the quarterback is fairly obvious, maybe at that time, you might as well go ahead and name him then. Doesn't sound like he's going to do that.
Well, we saw a lot from Jack Sears this week. All the coaches have noticed how much he's grown this offseason. Were you expecting more from him in today's game-like scrimmage, or did he not get enough opportunities based on guys who were open or O-line play?
I think a combination of all of those. I mean, a lot of times he went back and, man, somebody was in his face and it didn't look like there was anybody open, okay, for one thing. The second thing is that first pass, he sets up, throws, and hits Elijah Griffin in the hands. It would have been probably at Stanford or at Texas, a pick six to start the game going the other way. So those are the kind of things that if a quarterback does them, you go, that can't happen. Yeah. So that made it, I think, a more difficult day for Jack to have that start. He came back and threw a bomb that I guess that was Amon-Ra too, right?
No, it was Josh
Amon-Ra who got injured, unfortunately. Came up limping and got in the boot, but he came back. It was like an 80-yard play that Josh has been having some really good days, and what a shame if that ankle injury is going to limit him. But he fought for that ball and took it into the end zone, and I thought just a great effort, and so gave Jack one of those moments you can say, boy, it was a great throw, and they really needed it then. But just the way JT did, for example, in the 2-minute drill, where he made Pi Young look like an All-American. I don't know, has Pi Young caught any pass until today? He caught 2 out of 4, and they just boom, 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 boom down the field, 5 for 5, I guess, with a touchdown. And can't do the 2-minute drill a whole lot better than that.
Mm-hmm. As I mentioned earlier, one of the standouts of the scrimmage was the defensive line, J2 Fele in particular. Clay Helton said that he's having one of the best fall camps of anybody out of the team, and
maybe the best.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't hard for him to come up with who's having the best fall camp, and he went right to Jay.
Yeah. And so, but all Marlon Tuipulotu, Brandon Peely, Malik Doran, all those guys look really good against USC's O-line. Now, is that a case of USC's D-line looking very good, USC's O-line not doing so hot? Where are you judging both of those lines from today?
I don't know. We saw, I think everybody who ran the ball, including the quarterbacks, including JT, had a good run. Everybody had at least one good run. I know, Sad and Vavai and Marquis Stepp.
We didn't see Carr a lot today.
No, I think he had one, but You're right. They keyed on him. He didn't have much running room at all. I thought he had the toughest day of all, just because when he got it, they were right there in his grill. But I think they all showed a spark here, a spark there. I think Vavai keeps showing you stuff that you go, wow, look at he just goes quick feet. Sat on a really nicely executed screen pass, some really, really good footwork in that. So, and all 3 quarterbacks actually, had a runner or 2. Jack was, almost had to, it looked like, and he making a quick decision and getting yards when there's nobody open. So, but it wasn't like you felt like if they lined up and they were going to come right at you, that they were for sure going to be able to make the play. Some of their running plays, you'd probably like to see them maybe designed a little bit differently. And obviously, running some of those zone runs that they run against a defense that sees them every day, that's a tough thing to do against the athletes that they've got on this defensive line. So, they were playing, though, without, Cam Smith. One guy who did look good, off the line of scrimmage is Kanai Moga, who he just runs by people. I mean, he's going to be very, very good. I thought Jordan Iosefa, moving into the inside, gives you somebody who gives you that kind of versatility that you have to have. And the DBs, they look like they made life difficult until you got maybe past that second group at times, and then there might have been some things that they took advantage of. But a couple of those throws that JT made, he had to throw that ball through very narrow windows, and he's not afraid to do that. I mean, he would make a throw, and you could see people, because we were sitting next to all the parents, and you'd see him go, ooh, and then it somehow it got through. And